بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد
وآل الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الآخرين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن رحمتك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We study ninth and last chapter of Al-Marhalat al-Rabi'ah, the fourth section. The title of this chapter is Al-Mumkinu Muhtajun ila illatihi baqa'an kama annahu muhtajun ilayha huduthan. What is contingent needs its cause for continuity as it needed it for beginning. This is something that we discussed before in this book, in the previous book on philosophy, and even in Baba Hadi Ash, we always had this. It seems to be very clear, but because of some misunderstanding, we have to emphasize on this. Some people think that we only need cause to come to existence. If we come to existence, then we don't need the cause. Unless the cause comes to take us away from existence. So they think like existence is like a room. If something is put in the room, it remains in the room, and then for going out of the room, it needs another cause. Or they say, okay, some people build a house. The house is there. Even if these people travel, if these people die, the building is there. Unless someone comes and destroys the building, or a storm or flood, people destroy it. Otherwise, the building is there. We say this is mistake. To exist for something which is mumkin is always in need of an external factor. There is no difference between beginning or continuity. We always need the cause. You can argue this in two ways. One is to use the language of Mahiyya, which is right, but according to Asalat al-Wujud, maybe it's better to use the language of existence. We talk about it from both aspects. If you want to talk about it from Mahiyya perspective, we say this mumkinat, are they mumkin bizzat or not? Everything which is created is contingent, means in their essence they have equal relation to existence and non-existence. So to come to existence they need cause. Question, after they come to existence, does the Mahiyya change? No. So again they need cause. So existence should be constantly given to them. It's like a river. Maybe you think the river is fixed, but in reality water has to come. If water stops, river stops. Yeah? If water is not given constant. So we keep receiving wujud from God. This is one way of explaining this. Another way is to use the language of wujud. If you remember, we said according to Asalat wujud of Mullah Sadra, wujudul mumkin is a matter of poverty. It's just rabit, it's just muta'alliq, that just has to belong to something. If something has such a poor, needy, dependent, relational existence, so it has to always be with something that can give wujud to it. It can rely on it. Okay? If suppose, for example, I put my hand on this desk, so my hand relies on desk. Is it only for the beginning? Or I always need this desk? Otherwise it drops. My book drops. So please look at the book. Al-Fasl al-Tasi', 9th chapter of Al-Marhalat al-Rabi'a, the 4th section of the book. Al-Mumkinu muhtajun ila illatihi baqa'an kama annahu muhtajun ilayha huduthan. The contingent needs its cause for continuity, baqa, as it needs its cause, huduthan, for the beginning. وذلك, why? The first argument, لأن إلة حاجته إلى العلة. The reason, the cause. What is إلة حاجة الممكن? You know, we had this before. الفصل الثامن, we said في حاجة الممكن إلى العلة. We said إلة حاجة الممكن is not حدوث. Is what? Is imkan. You remember we discussed this last week. إلة حاجته إلى الإلة. What makes mumkin in need of illah? إمكانه is its contingence. اللازم للماهية. إمكان is not separable from ماهية. إمكان is always coming with ماهية. وهي محفوظة معه في حال البقاء كما أنها محفوظة معه في حال الحدوث. This haja is there with imkan in the beginning and in the continuity. In the same way that in beginning needs this, in continuity it needs this. فهو محتاج إلى العلة حدوثا وبقاء. So it needs the cause in the beginning and continuity. مستفيض. مستفيض means to ask for faith. It has to receive the phase of wujud from the cause. The grace, the gift of wujud should come. في الحالتين جميعا, in beginning and continuity. Okay? There is another way to argue, as we said, and that is instead of focusing on mahiyah, we talk about wujud. The first is not wrong, but it's more suitable for those who believe in asalatul wujud to focus on wujud, because wujud is the main one. Burhanun akhar, another argument. Inna wujud al-ma'lul, existence of the effect, as several times we have indicated, and it will come later inshallah when we talk about illa wal ma'lul. The wujud of ma'lul, wujudun rabitun muta'alliqu dhat bil illah. It's a being which is rabit. You remember wujud al-rabit? It's a link, it's a relational. Muta'alliqu dhat bil illah means by its very essence it belongs to Allah. متقوم بها, it's dependent. قوام, its existence and its survival depends on the Allah. It's not self-subsistent. غير مستقل دونها, it's not independent from Allah. فحاله في الحاجة إلى العلة حدوثا وبقاء واحد. So the condition of the effect with respect to its need for Allah in both conditions of beginning and continuity are the same. وَالْحَاجَةُ ملازمة. This need never leaves this. It's always there. Some people have tried to argue for the opposite view. The opposite view is to say we don't need illa for continuity. قد استدلوا على استغناء الممكن عن العلة في حال البقاء بأمثلة عامية. Some people have tried to mention examples that lay people, may find it interesting, day-to-day examples.
What is istighna?
Pardon?
What is istighna mean?
Istighna means to be free from need. So some people say mumkin doesn't need illa in baqa because of these examples. كمثال البناء والبنا. Bana means construction, building. Banna is builder. They said, is it possible to have building without the builder? Say yes. Say okay. So builder has built the building, but he can die and the building is there. So we don't need builder for baqa. We just need the builder for the beginning. Or some people mention the example of watch. Watch and the one who makes the watch.
But I haven't considered that the building also sometimes falls apart and needs to be built up all the time. All
No.
buildings.
They say, for example, the person who has made this building maybe dies,
Yes.
maybe travels, but the building is there.
Yeah, but then the building can also collapse after
Okay,
some time.
can collapse, but also can not collapse. The answer is builder is not illa. We mean by illa the real illa, al-illatul mufidah, the one that gives existence. Builder is illatul mu'iddah, just prepares. Like father, mother, they are not illa. Father may die, mother may die, children are there because they have not given existence. Allah's gift of existence comes when the condition is prepared. Parents have preparatory role. They don't give existence. They are not illatul mufiza. They are not illatul fa'ili. Okay? Builder is the same. Builder is illatul mu'adda. Yes, builder is needed in the beginning. But builder, what does it do? Builder prepares the condition, puts right materials together, but the existence of these materials and the properties of these materials come from God. Builder is just aware of how to put them together. But if these materials disappear, or if that properties, if cement loses its strength, it collapses. ورد بأن البناء ليس إلة موجدة للبناء. Builder, بناء, is not إلة موجدة, is not the cause which gives existence to the building. بل حركات يده, the movements of the hands of the builder, إلل مؤدة, not إلة موجدة. مؤد, إلة إعدادي, إلة مؤد means preparatory cause. Because anything which is needed can be called إلة, but the real إلة is الإلة الموجدة, الإلة المفيدة. So, motions of the hand of the builder are preparatory causes for حدوث الاجتماع بين أجزاء البناء. Just bringing these materials, these parts together. What then keeps them together is not the motion. The motions brings them together, but then relying on their own properties. And their existence also comes from God. اجتماع الأجزاء علة لحدوث شكل البناء ثم اليبوسة علة لبقائه مدة يعتد بها. These parts come together, makes this building in the beginning. Then when these dry and become strong, when the cement and plasters become dry, then it can remain, become strong. So basically we are using materials and the existence comes from God. Builder is just someone who needs to put this material together in the beginning. Okay. Before I mention the conclusion, it's nice to mention how this topic can be also used in other contexts. Ayatollah Mutahhari has a book which is of course based on his talk as a speech about Islamic revolution in Iran. And he uses this philosophical point to the discussion about Islamic revolution. He says, because he died few months after the revolution, he was killed. And at the beginning, there were lots of problems, inside, outside, So, discussing how the revolution can survive, he used this philosophical point. He says, Al-illatul muhdisa and al-illatul mubqiya are the same. He said, according to philosophers, what brings something to existence and what keeps it is the same. Therefore, he says, we have to see what was al-illatul muhdisa, the revolution, and then if we have it, revolution can continue. Otherwise, we'll collapse. For example, unity of people, leadership, good leadership, these are the things that brought revolution to existence, and if they are there, it can continue. Yes. But you have to be careful not to mix al-illatul mu'idda with al-illatul mujida. Okay? Because sometimes can something be just mu'id, not mujid. Okay, so sometimes you can bring these philosophical ideas into other discussions. Khatima. Khatima means conclusion, but this conclusion means like a kind of last point. It's a kind of appendix for this section. If you remember, we said imkan, wujub, imtina. These are three conditions for nisab in qaziyya. We used to call them jahatul qaziyya. So the relation between subject and predicate in qaziyya can be necessary, or can be contingent, or can be impossible. ضرورة or imkan or imtina. قد تبين من الأبحاث السابقة, it became clear from previous discussions أن الوجوب والإمكان والامتناع كيفيات ثلاث. These are three qualities for what? لنسب القضايا, for the relation in preposition. We mean relation between subject and predicate, between mawzu and mahmul. Okay? We said any mawzu and any mahmul can have one of these three. But in philosophy, we talk about the propositions whose mahmul is what? Mawjud. In mantiq, when we talk about jahatul qaziyya, we say any subject, any predicate. But in philosophy, we talk about those propositions that mahmul is wujud. Therefore, it becomes imkanul wujud, zaruratul wujud, imtina'ul wujud. When we say something is mawjud, either this wujud is mumkin or zaruri or mumtana. أن الوجوب والإمكان أمران وجوديان. wujud and imkan are existential, because any proposition, when it is true and the quality of the nisbah, the relation, is wujud or imkan, then it is corresponding to the real world. This is not difficult. The only thing which is new, but alhamdulillah we discussed this in moral philosophy recently and also in the previous book in philosophy, is that this wujub and imkan are ma'qul thaniya falsafi. They are applicable to the real world, external world, but don't expect independent reality for them. They are not mahuvi that you can point at them and say, this is Zayd, this is Am, this is Faras, this is color of red, color of brown, you know, because Jawhar and A'raz, all of them are ma'qul ula. All mahiyat are ma'qul ula and they can be pointed at. But imkan, zarurat, wahid, kathir, zawjiyat, fardiyat, fawqiyat, tahtiyat, all these are ma'qul thaniya falsafi. So we can apply them to something which is outside, but it is our mind that distinguishes them. Al-uruzu fi al-zihn wal-ittisafu fi al-kharij. We talked about this in details in previous book on philosophy and also in moral philosophy a few sessions ago. Okay? So, أن الوجوب والإمكان أمران وجوديان. Necessity and contingency are two existential matters. Why? Because those propositions which are muvajjahat bihima, means they have these two jahat. Jahatul qaziyya is what indicates the quality of the nisbah. You say bil darura, bil imkan, this is jahatul qaziyya. So those propositions that are described by these, they correspond to kharij, to the external world. Mutabiqatan tammatan bima laha min al-jad. They completely correspond. If the relation is zaruri, they are true. If it's not zaruri, they are false. But if it is true, it's really true. Means in reality it is zarura, or in reality is mumkin. فهما موجودان, but لكن بوجود موضوعهما لا بوجود وجود منحاز مستقل. They exist, but they exist with their subject, not independently. When you, for example, have a human being who is mumkin, where is this imkan? Do you have a human being plus another thing which is imkan? Or this human being is mansha'ul intiza? From that you abstract the concept of imkan. It doesn't exist separately. It exists with human beings. Or when you say there are 4 apples, you say it is even. Zawj. Is this zawjiyya separate from those 4 apples? No. It is abstracted. So, mawjudan, fahoma. Homa means what? Homa refers to? Yes, to necessity and cutting. These two exist, but بوجود موضوعهما, with the existence of the subject, not بوجود منحاز مستقل, not with independent. Munhaz and mustaqil means independent. فهما كسائر المعاني الفلسفية. They are like other philosophical concepts, such as وحدة والكثرة, unity and multiplicity, Qidam and hudus, eternal and created. Quwwa and fail, potential or actual. Potentiality or actuality. And other concepts, they are أوصاف وجودية موجودة للموجود المطلق. These are existential properties, qualities that we use for wujud as such. موجود مطلق means wujud which is not limited, which is not modified. بمعنى كون الاتصاف بها في الخارج. اتصاف is في الخارج means you can describe something in the external world, but عرضها في الذهن, but it is in the mind that it belongs to that subject. In the mind you can separate and say this has this quality, but outside is together. وهي المسمات بالمعقولات الثانية باصطلاح الفلسفة means المعقولات الثانية الفلسفية. This is different from المعقولات الثانية المنطقية, because منطقية اتصاف is also in ذهن, أروزها في الذهن اتصافها في الذهن, like كلي. We don't have كلي outside. ذهب بعضهم, some philosophers have gone to another opinion, another position. They say الوجوب والإمكان موجودين في الخارج بوجود منهزم مستقل. They say these two exist outside with independent existence. Allah Tabatabai says لا يعبأ به, but this is not something that we pay attention, it's not receiving significance. لا يعبأ به. In the Quran we have قل ما يعبأ بكم ربي لولا دعاءكم. Allah would not care about you if it was not your call. Of course, this dua is not verbal dua, it's also existential call. So any ma'lul is calling Allah for help. هذا في الوجوب والإمكان. So about wujub and imkan, we said these are existential, but not independently, dependent on the subject. What about imtina? Imtina, impossibility. For example, we say sharikul bari mawjudun bil imtina. Means wujud is mumtane for sharikul bari. For partner, for God, wujud is impossible. It's obvious that it cannot be existential because there is no sharikul bari. Then how can sharikul bari, which does not exist, have a quality which exists? أما الامتناع فهو أمر عدمي بلا ريب. It is not existential, it's non-existential. Adam, it's non-existential, existential, without any doubt. Okay. هذا كله بالنظر إلى اعتبار العقل الماهيات والمفاهيم موضوعات للأحكام. This is from, again, the perspective that we look at mahiyya. Because this is more suitable for people who are asalatul mahwi. Although it is still correct if you believe in asalatul wujud, but this is to treat things from the perspective of mahiyya and taking mahiyya as mawzu. If you are really asalatul wujudi, so it's better to say the same thing from perspective of wujud. Like the previous discussion, we said there are two arguments. One is to come from mahiyya, one is to come from wujud. Here is also the same thing. أما بالنظر إلى كون الوجود هو الموضوع. If we come and take the wujud as subject for these three, then we can say wujub for wujud, not wujud for mahiyya. Wujud for wujud means wujud must be so strong, so powerful, so absolute that does not have any need. Mumkin, if it is for wujud, not for mahiyya, means wujud is weak and dependent. And mumtana has no wujud. So you can approach from perspective of mahiyya, or you can approach from perspective of wujud, which according to asalatul wujud, this second is more suitable. Okay, because this is the primary one. You know, you can, it's like what? You can look at someone directly, or you can look at the picture in mirror. If you are asalatul wujudi, when you talk about mahiyya, means you are looking at the mirror. I'm giving example. I'm not saying exactly the same, but means it's true, but it's not first-hand experience. فالوجوب كون الوجود في نهاية الشدة. وجوب الوجود means wujud is in maximum intensity. قائما بنفسه, it is self-subsistent. مستقلا في ذاته على الإطلاق, it's completely independent its essence. As we said before, imkan, if it is for wujud, means this wujud is muta'alliqun nafs, means it's in its essence belonging to something, dependent, متقوم الذات بالسواه, it's depending on something other than itself, like wujud of mahiyat. فالوجوب والإمكان وصفان قائمان بالوجود. According to the second approach, these are two qualities not for mahiyya, for wujud itself. Wujud which is strong and wujud is weak. Wujud which is independent and wujud which is dependent. So these are two qualities for wujud. غير خارجين من ذات موضوعهما. And they are not outside, they are not external, accidental. This is the reality of wujud. Either this wujud in itself is dependent or independent. Is it strong or weak? Okay? So these are two ways of looking at wujub and imkan, as qualities for mahiyya or as qualities for wujub. If it is for mahiyya, then they are maf'um saniya falsafi, ma'ul saniya falsafi. If it is for wujud, then it is a quality of wujud. And of course, again, it can be ma'ul saniya falsafi, but not as a quality of mahiyya. So, alhamdulillah, we finished this. Inshallah, from next session, we would go to fifth section, which is about ahkamul mahiyya. Some of the things in philosophical issues that relate to mahiyya. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us, inshallah, to continue our studies, to have tawfiq, to learn and to, inshallah, share and practice. Alhamdulillah. Rabbil alamin.